My name's David Hodgens. I'm the Senior Pastor at the Warrnambool District Baptist Church and have been so for the last 10 years. It's important for us at Warrnambool to think about the collective vision of the church because we realise that vision is actually the thing that drives our ministry. It's very much the fuel of our ministry. And one of the things that we noticed over time in our church was that because people move on, we get new people, the community changes around us, we recognise that the focus or the sharpness of our vision gets blunted. And so there was a period a couple of years ago where we recognised it was necessary for us to say, hey, we need to revisit this, we need to sharpen this up, we need to talk about this, and we need to do it as a whole community, because it's one thing for the leaders to have clarity around vision, but for the whole church to have clarity around vision really means that everyone's on board, and as a church we can move ahead. The Warrnambool Church has been around for 150 years. It's a church that has very much crossed the demographic. So we have young people and older folks, some who've been part of the church for over 90 years and some who've been part of the church for less than 9 months. So in building the collective vision of the church, we did a lot of work around storytelling and hearing stories from people who'd been involved in the church for a very long time and from people who'd been in the church for a very short time, talking about things like where have you seen God at work in the life of the church? Tell us stories about that, because there's often, I think, a correlation between how God's worked in the church in the past and how God will continue to work in the church in the future. There was a little bit of anxiety on the part of some people that when we started talking about vision, we were doing 180 degrees, heading in another direction altogether, but that's not the case. It was as much about confirming where God's got us at the moment and where He might be taking us in the future, based very much on the experience of the past. That was something of a process. We did quite a lot of exercises around storytelling. We did stuff with large groups. We did stuff at a congregational level. We did stuff in small groups at prayer nights. We did stuff in homes. We invited as many people to be part of that as possible, and then digested as much of that information down into kind of point forms or bullet forms under certain headings as we could, to say, you know, here's some things that are coming through as commonality. And from there kind of kept digesting it down, boiling it down. I think if you're doing it as a MasterChef exercise, you'd call it a reducing process, reducing it down without burning it out, to the point where we kind of came to a nice core that we felt captured what we're on about. Well, I'd love to say it's just energised us, but it's actually been a slow process, and it's taken some time for it to get some traction in the church. We started the process around 2 years ago. Found it took a little while for people to get on board with exactly what we were doing and why we were doing. And it's really only just in the last 3 months or so where we've actually started talking about what our vision is and articulating that regularly in the context of worship, that people are saying, okay, we kind of understand where we're going with this and this is what it's about. And it's a grid then that we will use to say, well, here's our vision, how does our ministry match that, what are we doing to achieve our vision?